I am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say.
Great, another broken white boy for us to fix.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are. With great power comes great responsibility. I can do this all day.
Wakanda forever!
And welcome, Internets, to another episode of Views from the 616, the blackest MCU podcast in the multiverse, powered by For All Nerds, where we discuss everything in the MCU from the perspective of people of color. And it is I, one of your co-hosts, Tatiana King, aka the life and times of Sharon Carter, aka AR Lord, T'Challa Bread, Tesseract Thompson, Little Vision Vert, LaWanda Vision, and the coldest winter soldier ever. And of course, I'm joined by my amazing co-host.
Thank you very much. It's your boy DJ BenHaMeen back here on the spaceship. The Black Adam Warlock, the Nightmare on Ellis Street, Lieutenant Good Trouble, the Long Swordsman, Armand Duquesne the Fifth, Off-White Panther, the Power Toker, John, I'll walk it out, walk it out, I'll walk it out. The Sad Titan, aka Hank Grimm, here in the spaceship.
And of course, just your ridiculous AKAs, but I appreciate you for it. It makes me laugh at the beginning always, because I know it puts a smile on everybody's face, so thank you for that.
Hopefully. I'm sure yours do as well.
Yes. So, as usual, welcome to Views from the 616. We are here today to talk Hawkeye, specifically episode 3, titled Echoes. This episode is directed by the duo Bert and Bertie. They're actually a female writer-director duo, and can I just say the women make it happen, because
they did that.
Enjoyed this episode so much. If y'all listen to our previous review, and if you haven't stopped, go listen to our review of episode 1 and 2. I was not feeling episode 1 and 2 of Hawkeye, but they did that when it comes to episode 3, so kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
This episode was written by Katrina Mathewson and Tanner Bean, who some of their writing credits include Pitch. I don't know if you watched that. That was on Fox. Black female baseball player.
Oh, I wanted to and I never got to.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't get a long run, but apparently it was good. So I'm glad that they had that background. But that being said, BenHaMeen, what did you think of this episode?
I really enjoyed it as well. I mean, I wasn't as down on the first two as you were, and I was waiting for this episode because I'd seen the previews where they'd shown portions of that car chase scene.
The car chase scene.
And I knew that was going to be fire just from the portion that we had already seen. That was beautifully well shot, directed, everything choreographed, cinematography, sound design. I mean, down the line, everything about that scene was incredible. Special effects, all of that. So I was waiting for that, and I was hoping that this would be in that episode, and it was. And then also we got more of Echo, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters. I actually don't know that much about her. I was actually hunting down some of her back issues this week, but I didn't have a chance to get to read them yet. So I'm still kind of only knowing her from the MCU and Wikipedia and my general knowledge of Daredevil and surrounding characters. But it's Maya Lopez who's playing her, right? Did I get that right?
Maya Lopez is her name.
Yep. I think she's doing a fantastic, stupefying job so far. So yeah, this was one of my favorite episodes. That intro, which we have to talk about, the cold opening of this episode.
That cold
was something else.
Is amazing. And just for the record, I just want to be clear that Maya Lopez is her name within the show. Her actual name is Alaqua Cox.
Thank you. Alaqua Cox? Okay.
And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing her first name.
Yeah,
slightly.
me as well. Yep.
But,
Alaqua is they're doing a fantastic job on this one. Let me just say that. Killing it so far. And I love the way that they incorporated her real life disabilities into Echo, because in the comics, Echo doesn't have a prosthetic leg, as far as I know, but that's something that the real life actor has. And so they added it, and even had the little child actor playing with the prosthetic foot. So that's
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's all real. I didn't know that either. I wasn't sure because I've seen, Echo, and I was like, I don't remember her having a leg or anything about that. And so then I Googled it and looked it up, and this person actually has that. That is
Yeah.
her disability. So they incorporated that into the character, which is really dope. So it makes her have two, disabilities that she has to deal
Yeah.
with and
Yeah. I
deal
mean,
with them well.
it's super dope and super smart. And
Hmm.
I think one of the things that this show will do or help do is also kind of adjust the narrative and what it means to have a disability,
Hmm.
particularly when it comes to othering people and also how you speak of a disability, right?
Yep.
Like it's not, and I know that has been the fight for many, 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 many years, right? Just about how people speak to it. Like you've seen people ask for different ways to acknowledge a disability. Sometimes they say, call me differently able, for example, right?
Hmm.
And then even also like when we're just referring to it, like instead of saying like when we deal with things is how do you utilize it? How
Yep.
do you incorporate it? Because sometimes the word, when you say you deal with something, it means it has a negative connotation. So I
Mhm.
just think the fact that we are speaking of this and how for many people, this is not even a thought, right? Like,
Mm.
you understand? Like if you don't have a disability, you may not even think about how your day to day would be affected by it, right?
Hmm.
Whereas people who, whether it's hearing, as you mentioned with the prosthetic foot or limb, whatever it is, there's different things that need to be considered because of that. So it just comes to show you that, again, just the differences between people and also what brings us together within our differences, right? And understanding how to communicate with different people and how to really just be more cognizant of how you move through life and how you assume different things in life, right?
Yes. And I think that's a great point you made right there about people saying differently abled and the different things that people have to deal with in life
Mhm.
in relation just to how they are. Like it's something we talked about before on the show, how we as black people, we think, oh, we've got it like this, and this might be the worst of all. And, we as black people have to deal with things that other people don't have to deal with. But everybody goes through life having to deal with different things. And sometimes we need to take a step back and see, and like you said, learn from other people. And I also love how the show is showing you that just because someone is differently abled, that doesn't make them incompetent. In some ways, they could be learn to even use that to appreciate or understand the
Yeah,
world in a way that we will never.
right.
And that's what's
Exactly.
so dope about this show. And like you said, I just love the fact that it's making us even start this episode with this conversation.
Yes, and we're going to get deep into this when we get into the themes
Themes of the
episode.
episode. Huzzah.
And the biggest theme I caught from this episode are the themes of communication and learning. And Ben, I mean, you actually put it beautifully when you just said what you said about how and I caught this particularly during that cold open with young Maya in school, how and this happens so often. This happens with people who have disabilities. This happens with people who where English is their second language, where other people perceive them as incompetent because they don't seem to understand or react a certain way that is expected when that's not the case at all.
No.
And you see this within this cold opening. Young Maya is in school, and this is back in 2007, as we see. She's learning differently from the other children. As you come to understand, looking at the world through her eyes, she's also working with less information than the children may have, right? Like she's not able to hear. And right as of now, and before the teacher even mentions the whole interpreter, she doesn't have any accommodations, right? When a teacher is speaking and teacher turns away from her, she can't read the lips anymore.
Yep.
That she can't hear what her fellow classmates are saying. And they're not even, at the moment anyway, they're not even engaging her. So she can't really make any inferences from that. What she does, however, is uses the context clues of what's going on around her through her sight, through other senses in order to figure out what she needs to do. In this sense, you see her when she figures out what page the lesson of her writing book is on. And, just reading through and just, again, being competent, you see that she's able to complete that lesson well before the teacher even really explains things fully. And then, as you see, the teacher is making this assumption that, okay, this girl's not paying attention. Let me go hit her up. She's drawing pictures. Well, no, actually, Maya already finished the whole lesson already. She's just doing the little garnish on top with her picture of the dragon.
Yep. Yeah, and also just a beautiful scene how it opens and it like we hear from Maya's perspective where we hear nothing.
Yes.
It's just quiet. And that was just such a dope, just so well written to introduce this character, to give you empathy for her, and then to show that she is a heroic type in her own right, where that she can be like, nah, I can take charge of the things that have happened to me in my life and make a decision and move forward and grow and be stronger because of them.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
It's brilliant. And I think when you mention the sound or lack thereof and the sound design, especially within this episode, they really, Bert and Bertie really paid attention to that. And it reminds me of how sound design was approached in things like A Quiet Place.
Yep.
Where it's almost in its own integral character of how to perceive and influence and watch the scenes and all the conversations and things like that happening.
Yes. Yeah. Just the more I think about that opening, it's just so brilliantly done. Like, I watched it again right before we started this, and I was just like, God damn, when it went to the Hawkeye logo. Because all that little
right,
thing.
I'm like, yo, that's happening. And I looked at the timestamp, it says 7:05. I said that, and again, get rid of the beginning preview, but in like 6 minutes, all that happened.
Less, maybe 5.
Less.
And that's 5 pages of strip, and people always say the first 10 pages is what matters. So in 5 pages, they gave you Echo. Like, every reason to root for this character in the world. And every reason to understand them, you know.
Another reason why I was like, well, if this episode was like this, why couldn't y'all fix episode 1 and 2? But anyway.
But I don't think they needed to. I think 1 and 2 contain a lot of the character stuff that this episode did as well.
They were able to build out Echo within 10 fucking minutes. And the reason when I say they were able to build it out, I immediately gravitated and grasped onto who Echo is or perceived to be, her background. I immediately latched onto her like, I like this character, or I understand what this character is going through.
Yeah, but you don't have the presumption of hating Hawkeye.
I don't hate. Well, let's be clear.
You don't
I don't
hate Echo.
Hate Hawkeye. I don't hate Hawkeye, but I don't really care for the nigga.
Yeah.
Ronan didn't help. And also like again, and when we talk about the other characters, like for Kate, for example, like Kate's cool. I don't know her yet. You understand?
Okay.
I think I as of now, if it talks about like if I wanted to go hang out with somebody, I would probably pick Maya / Echo right now.
I probably would too, especially coming from your perspective of just knowing them from this show. Like, I'm heavily influenced because Kate Bishop is my girl from the comics. So that's just, it's tough for me. I'm already seeing them build her into who she will be. So, and I already know, everything that goes with her. So it's like, yeah, she's dope, but.
Yeah, I think she's cool. It's just that I just had an immediate connection with and again, it's just, this could be the skill at which it was written and shot. I just had an immediate connection with Maya.
No, it's incredibly done. Like, we see her immediately become a hero as a kid. And then we see her take that into the adult. We see her go through even more tragedy, losing her father. And then, boom, to the Hawkeye logo. That shit was like fucking incredible. Like, dog, the hints at perhaps Kingpin. All of this happens before the Hawkeye logo. Like, that shit was
so much. It's so much.
So well done. Like,
let's continue talking more about young Maya as we learn that, of course, she's differently abled and she feels different from the other kids. She even had to ask her dad, why she, can I just want to go to apparently at some point she prefers to go to school with other deaf kids because that's natural. Like, you want to be with people who are like you. We find out that her father can't afford it. However, he assures her that going to typical school, if you will, is best for her, or it's better for her in order for her to live within two worlds. And this conversation is actually parallel to the conversation with Kate and her dad. Much better written though. and dialogue wise.
Yeah, I can't. Hurricanes, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if y'all didn't understand what I was talking about when I said the dialogue was stilted when it came to that conversation between young Kate and her dad, watch the conversation between young Kate and her dad in episode 1, and go watch this conversation, just the conversations, and you see a marked difference between the two. Mainly because this is a true conversation. It feels genuine as a young child would have, including the young child's interests. She's interested in dragons. At the end of the day, she liked the motherfucking dragons. The kid. I like turtles. Understood.
I like turtles.
I get it. I get where you're coming from, and that's what it was. Like this conversation, I understood, and the responses made sense to me.
I can't argue that because it still bugs me out that Shorty even knew what a hurricane was in New York City.
Well, no, kids ain't dumb. Like
no, but it's New York. You ain't worried about hurricanes.
And let me not say the word dumb because I know that also potentially has negative connotation.
Yeah.
Kids know what's up.
Yeah, but they are not worried about hurricanes.
The way it was set. Right. You live in New York City.
In Manhattan.
With the exception of maybe a Sandy. I grew up in New York. We don't know shit about no damn hurricane unless you live in like Long Island or something. You don't know. You ain't thinking about that. You're not in the penthouse on the 56th floor talking about, oh, well, if that hurricane come down, what we gonna do? Like, no.
It would have been worse though if she was talking about dragons and then suddenly dragons fly by.
And the only thing I was thinking of when she said dragons, when Young Maya said dragons, I was just like, the Battle of New York. That technically was a dragon. But
yeah, I'm like, Young Maya gonna see some dragons in her life real quick.
Right. But yes, this conversation with her father, I just found to be so beautiful because it was an open and honest conversation, and it was like a real conversation a kid would have. Like, well, what about asking these questions? Do dragons exist? Do dinosaurs? All this stuff that they would potentially ask. And her father was just so, what's the word? Delicate with how he spoke to her about it. He didn't say, "Oh no, that's a silly idea." That he said, "Well, no, but actually they may just live in a different world." Like he didn't squash her views or say, "Oh, that doesn't exist," or you're just wrong. He was just like, "Well, actually, they just come from a different world," right? Like he allowed the notion to still live while like just answering her question, if that makes sense.
Yep. And another really brilliant, beautiful thing in that scene is when they do the shadow puppets on the wall. He forms a hawk and she forms a dragon. Showing that later on the dragon, her, will be fighting the hawk.
Exactly. And you see the dragon eat the hawk too. So
don't think that there's a lot of speculation that Hawkeye is gonna die in this series, y'all. Like, I know people don't like the man, but is
he gonna make it home for Christmas? It's Christmas, Danita.
I think this is the end of Clint Barton, for the majority of the MCU, but I do not think that he dies in this. Like, that's cold. Marvel's been surprising me this year, but that'd be some cold-blooded ish to have this man die, and then Christmas is in our time is 3 days later. Like that's
Christmas.
Rough. The final episode of Hawkeye dead, and then everybody have Christmas dinner, and all these kids who were loving Hawkeye are sitting there at Christmas dinner with their parents. Ah! No.
It's quiet for you.
No. That's hilarious to me. I don't think so. Yeah.
Her father, and I said just the delicate nature in which he speaks with his daughter, and in a way that doesn't squash her views rather, but allow them to flourish. And also, as I mentioned, answer her. Like he says to her when she says, "Well, why can't I go be with kids like me?" He goes, "That's impossible because you're one of a kind." And that, again, could be a literal inference, right? Because she has both that prosthetic left foot and she has the hearing disability. But also it could be an allusion to something else that's going on. I know, and this may not be the case because sometimes they just border on just more realism, but I had asked you, at least from the comic book perspective, was Echo a mutant?
Yeah.
And we weren't sure.
I still, from what I understand, people online on Twitter and stuff have told me that she's not. I don't know though, but in the comics,
this is tracking. The show is tracking that she's not a mutant. That she's just a human being that has just become very adept at what she does, much like Kate.
I think that's what they're going for more so, and I think it's also just the beauty of a father telling your child that there's no one like you. You are unique.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And also it will work with the theme of Hawkeye just being a regular person at the end of the day. Everybody's regular people, but they can do extraordinary things.
Yes. And that's one of the big themes of this show. So I would go with that.
Big themes of the show, big theme, as you just said, with the father saying you are special and you are different in the most beautiful way. And that goes back to the other sub theme here of dragons, right? You mentioned a couple of the what was it? Not inferences. Instances. Thank you. Instances of dragons. Them talking about dragons living in a different world, and then the Battle of New York. Those are dragons technically from a different world. Them niggas flying around. She asks, Young Maya asks, what if the dragons, learn to come in our world? And the father's like, well, that would make them stronger. And then there's an immediate connection later when, he's like, you need to learn how to live in both worlds. Like, essentially he's ascribing the imagery of a dragon and the power and the nature of a dragon to Maya. It was sweet.
I'm sighing because William Lopez, who played her father.
William Lopez
is the name.
Is his character's name.
Okay, Zahn
Tokiaku McClarnon. First of all, he plays Big, Diddy, the sheriff on Reservation Dogs on FX. I love
He's
him.
also on Fargo and what's the other joint I know him from? Oh God, he was really good on that too. I can't remember offhand right now, but fantastic, and that's why I was signed because seeing him take that big L was that was a lot. Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying when I said like I just connected immediately, and again, it just could be just the way this was written and expressed. It just made sense to me.
He's also such a fantastic actor that you just finished loving on Reservation Dogs, so you had that connection with him, and then he gets murked. So that's like I'm sorry, but that's gonna hurt. Like that. That's just how it is. Like that. And it was, and like I say, he's a fantastic actor, and like you said, the dialogue was so good to establish his love for his child, and then you see him get murked. And so it's like,
damn, Ben's just harsh with it, bro. All right.
He talking about harsh. My man Hawkeye was in there doing flips and shit while he's murdering these fools. Like
he was somersaulting on them niggas.
This man was having fun with it.
Oh man,
did you really need to do all that? You could have just stabbed dude.
Ronan was fucking suplexing and moonsaulting on them niggas. It was really bad for them.
I've never seen something so heinous.
Michael Cole or James Jr. from WWE.
Oh,
the carnage! Oh, the destruction!
Yeah. And the other dude, oh, I loved him. Oh,
that's probably Michael Cole.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. So when Clint, Clint's hearing aid during when they have the little scuffle, it gets busted by
the shit.
When Maya beats the fuck out of no.
Fight back!
Fight back! When Maya embarrassed the fuck out of Hawkeye, one of the things she did was bust his hearing aid. Earlier, just a few minutes earlier, she tells him that he relies too much on technology and that he would be better off without it. And when we go back to this theme we're talking about of communication and learning, it seems to have been kind of a foreshadowing because though Hawkeye cannot hear well without his hearing aid, he seems to be working better with Kate, which begs the question, is it the words and ego that are getting in the way of them working together as a team? Because once that stuff is gone, like, they're talking to each other, trying to communicate through the words, but once that's removed, they seem to flow and sync together very easily. And go ahead. And then that aspect of communication, again, there are different ways to communicate. Okay, you cannot hear. There's other ways to communicate thoughts and expression and all that stuff. Or you may not be able to speak. There's other ways to communicate. The heavy use of ASL and the fact that they made a point that people need to learn ASL or people weren't learning ASL. I just think that's also a major key when we talk about this theme.
No, I mean, that's all brilliantly and beautifully said right there. I agree with everything you just said, and it also, I love that Maya, Echo forces it upon him. Like she kicks this man in his head on purpose, knocks that shit loose.
It was hell on purpose.
Hit him with the bonnet foot. He whacked him on the head and then stomped on that joint. Like nah, you gonna learn. You, and. It's also there's a lot of like things that aren't being said in this episode that are very pertinent to what's going on. And then like I feel like Kate knows that Hawkeye is Ronin. And it's one of those things where she don't want to accept it.
Oh, so you do I was gonna ask, did you think she was just playing coy, but you just think she knows deeply in her heart who it is and she just because that's her hero, and she don't want to see her hero in the worst light ever.
And he's trying to break it to her without saying it when he's like, I'm nobody's role model. Okay, you know what it is, shorty. Don't front like we don't know what's not being said right here. Is what I feel like I got from that conversation. It's like she's like, well, what about a black hood and a mask?
I don't
you
know
seem to
if
have liked that.
And that's the thing. That's actually a good point, Ben. Like, it could be her lying to herself, like actively lying to herself. It could be she really just doesn't know, and she's asking these questions because she's still trying to get to the heart of it.
Man,
like,
she was ready to accuse her uncle off of one butterscotch.
She was.
Her father-in-law.
But that's also because she don't fuck with Jack. She don't want to fuck with Jack off break.
That's why she hasn't accused Hawkeye, because she fucks with him.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's finish up I had mentioned there was a sub theme of dragons. Young Maya writing in her book that she could run as fast as a dragon. She draws a dragon with wings and fire coming out of her mouth. You mentioned the shadow puppets.
Mm-hmm.
And this next one hurt me to my core. when a more grown up Maya watches fucking Ronan flipping out on her dad, stabbing him, and dad dies in her arms, her dad says to her, "Fly away, little dragon." When I said, I was just like, ah! Like the ugly face immediately. I was just like, and that's what, again, that's the skill level, because I wouldn't even care. I didn't know who these niggas was 10 minutes ago. And then she'd be like, because I saw I felt the connection between the father and the daughter. And when he was just like, "Yo, fly away, little dragon," I was just like, my God, why they got to do this to me, son? Like, I was hurt.
I hate to say it again, but Wong is always right in situations like this. If this brown person hadn't been hanging around with all these, I mean, it did beg the question, like, why were they with all these Russians? But why was he the boss of the Russians? I mean, I ain't mad at it, but
who knows?
Should have got some more brown people up in that crew.
And then the last part of Dragons, the mention of Imagine Dragons, the group. The musical group, that Imagine Dragons concert that one tracksuit dude got tickets for his girlfriend. For those who don't know who Imagine Dragons are, they had like these huge hits like Believer, Radioactive, and also if you watch Arcane on Netflix, they did the theme of the main intro song, Enemy.
Yeah, worst part of the show.
Can I ask a question? Why is there so much hate? Because even Kate says it. Why is there so much hate on Imagine Dragons?
Because they're so boring. Like,
because they're boring.
It's like every song is the same. Like, I was
gonna say the songs do sound similar.
What was Radioactive was the first one, right?
Radioactive.
Yeah, whatever their first hit was.
Believer.
Yeah, whatever their first hit was, I loved. And then after that, I was like, oh, y'all are whack. Like, y'all do nothing different. And y'all make big, corny. They're like Coldplay, kind of, where it's like they are like Coldplay. They make good music, but
big
it's like
dramatic music.
Yeah, but it's like we make this music so we can sell out arenas, and that's why we doing it.
But the point is, they sell out arenas. Someone's liking it.
Yeah, but that's the problem. It's like Black Eyed Peas. They sell out arenas. I like them too. I'm not mad at them. You know what I mean? But it's just like
you talking about pre-Fergie though.
No, I'm talking about all through it. I always knew who they were. Like they've always been who they are, and I'm not mad at it. But it's just not what I like. It's big pop music that has no real feeling to it for the most part. You don't think it has real feeling? Okay. I'm not a huge fan. I also never understood the hate for them either. So man, I like Arcane, but when that came on, I was like, ooh. Yeah, no. But back to Maya and her dad, that definitely hurt me as well. I know I've been making jokes about him being murdered, but that was devastating. I do have a question about that scene though. Do you think that was actually Hawkeye in that suit? Yes. Okay. Oh, actually, no. He could not. That could not. They may not have been Hawkeye, or it could have been a lapse in a plot hole. The reason why is because we learned just a few minutes prior that was the year 2007. Mm-hmm. Hawkeye didn't do his Ronin campaign until 2018 in MCU time. The Ronin campaign was 2018 to 2023 during the events of the snap. You and I know, and we know that was but that's not 207 when she's a kid. That's 207 when she's a young girl. That's later on when she's. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Excuse me. If this is, I'm sorry. You're right. When she gets to her father and he's dead, she's assumedly a teenager or 20s. It didn't even seem that far along. Okay. It seemed like very recent. Then if that's the case, and then you're right. I'm sorry. I forgot where we were in the scene. Yeah. Yes, she is older. So yes, that was Ronin. But yes. But let me do also make that point, back to that original point. Ronin's campaign was from 2018 to 2023. And we know that this series takes place in holiday 2024. Yep. And so that was definitely Ronin. That was definitely Hawkeye. I'll still say I'm not 100 on that, but
why not? The timeline matches up, and it's clear that was one of the many things he did besides the Yakuza and the Mexican cartel.
Yeah, and it just it seems that it
matches up. Brown people, it matches up. BenHaMeen,
but they were all white.
Were they all white? I don't think they were all white.
We didn't even get to see, right?
They're not all white.
You're right. Maybe she replaced it with the Russian crew after he murdered off all her dads.
I just think a lot of them are Russian. And maybe in the comic book, they're mainly Russian.
They're all Russian in the comics.
Okay. They're not only Russian, at least in the show, because there's some guy named Enrique. So I'm like, I don't think that's a Russian name. So.
I mean, you never know.
You never know, but I don't think so.
It's New York.
You're right. I don't know.
Why you name my son Why my son over there speaking Spanish?
I mean, my name is Tatiana, and that is Russian. So
there you go.
Who knows? But I just from the way the guy looks, I didn't think he was Russian. So point is
he the one who got blown up in the van?
Potentially.
We're gonna talk about that in a second, boy.
Yeah.
All
right, so that's it for the dragons and all that. Christmas. Yep. It's Christmas, Danita. For those who remember that Popeyes video.
Oh God.
And outside of Philly. But anyway, Christmas is a huge thing that continues. You hear the Christmas songs playing on the radio, even on the rides, those rides that they tie Kate and Clint to. It's Jingle Bells playing. Clinton's tied to a unicorn. Kate is on a spaceship. They're taped to it anyway, and Jingle Bells are playing. You hear like a whole bunch of other traditional Christmas songs being played throughout the episode. And also the billboards and whatnot. All Christmas all the time.
Yep. I like that the Russian dude called it a pony. At least
pony. He said pony.
On the subtitles and when I listen to it, it says prony for some reason.
I didn't see the R in the subtitle. It was spelled pony I just saw it. Watch it again right before recording.
Because I thought he said brony, which would have been even better.
Brony would have been funny, but also bronies are the name of fans.
My Little Ponies. I know, and that would have been amazing.
Okay.
If he'd done the shout out right there, that would have been great.
Okay.
I once caught my nephew watching My Little Pony, and I was like, "Look at you, little brony!" And he was so mad that I knew what it was.
So good though. It was so good. Like
it was.
I understand.
And he loved it, but he was just mad that I knew what a brony was and that I was calling him that.
Aw.
Yeah, but I already knew, bruh.
I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all are bronies. Deal with it.
It was a good show.
It was well done. Whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways. And this is not so much a theme as much as I wanted to just talk about it.
Yeah.
The chase scene.
Yes.
What you want to say about the chase scene, BenHaMeen?
First of all, once again, as we will probably be saying every week on this show, go buy Matt Fraction and David Asia's Hawkeye run, because everything that we're seeing in this show is inspired directly from it, and they're not getting near enough paper, especially David Asia, from the production of the show. Hopefully Marvel has changed their tune on that. That's something that I feel like needs more campaigns behind, is getting these artists paid. Matt is getting paid as a consulting producer, but David, as far as I know, and he's not listed in the credits. The chase scene is an entire issue of the Hawkeye comic. It was taken directly from it, straight up.
Really? Like frame for frame?
Not frame for frame, because there's several little distinctions. In the opening credit scene, when we see the car, when we see the what's that, the 72
outside of the hideout?
No, yeah, the one that he didn't want to take.
Yeah.
In the comics, they take that car and are being chased by the Russians. So in the opening shot, there was a shot that is straight from the cover of the comic book that features it. And the whole issue was this chase scene. Like, they're driving all around through the whole issue, but they're actually in that car, but it's the same thing. Hawkeye driving, Kate shooting, the suction plunger arrow is in it. Other things have changed. Stuff. Yeah, no, I mean, they definitely didn't,
it's a Challenger, right? Does it get totaled?
Yeah, because they're driving it, so the shit gets totaled, and it ends on a bridge same way, but not with all the PIM arrow, all that type of stuff was added for this.
And that's also why Hawkeye was like, and it gets totaled anyway. Because it's gonna happen anyway. Got it. All right.
And I know we're gonna talk about how it appears to be a one shot at the beginning.
Yeah, and I know continuous shot.
I know people have referenced Children of Men, which is filled with effing continuous shots and really hurts my feelings watching that movie. But I thought this was more reminiscent of The Raid and The Raid 2, when they have this epic chase scene where I've seen videos like this was dope. Don't get me wrong, this is dope. But them raid niggas is on another level. These motherfuckers be passing the camera like from car to car.
To each other, right?
Yeah, passing cameras from car to car while they're doing shots. Like, it's crazy. So I encourage anyone to go watch the raid. You know, if you love action sequences and one of the best car chases ever put. But this was fucking fire.
This was fire, and I love the perspectives, the shot perspectives, like the back seat. The back seat, and could you imagine, like, if they place you, the audience, in the back seat with Hawkeye and Kate, and you sit, and it's just you, and it's what you would naturally do, right? You're looking around, like, and you looking behind you, and you coming back around, like, well, what these niggas about to do, and what about's going on behind us, and what these niggas about to do, like, it was again so perfectly placed and balanced, as all things should be, and the way that they did it. And yes, that continuous shot, like, at least for the first few minutes was, and then they moved away. And again, and I say appears because for all you know, they splice some CG in there to just make it look that way. But that being said, it was dope.
Dope as hell. Like, so fire. And then we've seen some Hawkeye trick arrows before, but
I didn't see all these.
Yeah, no, this was the first time, like, you know, we've seen little things, but this was the first time that they really got into all the weird-ish that he has in the comic books. Because majorities are from the comic books. We've seen that USB arrow that did nothing. We've seen him use that before. He once had an arrow that split into a bunch of warheads, I think, and some other stuff. But I mean, the such and plunger arrow, which is, a staple from the comics.
And when she used it, she said, well, that doesn't do anything. I said, you have no idea. This is going to come into play later. You're going to need this one. And that's the thing. Yeah. All of these shits, weird or otherwise, are useful.
Yeah.
Useful
in some way.
The putty Play-Doh arrow, suction plunger arrow, the bomb arrow, grappling hook.
We got to stop on that bomb arrow there.
Bomb arrow. Let's stop on the bomb arrow. Why is that shit so powerful?
I mean, all right.
Why is that shit so powerful?
I haven't seen anyone mention this yet. Like, I've seen people mention how when Hawkeye is fighting the Tracksuit Mafia, he's not killing them like he was when he was doing with Ronin. And that's something else that in that conversation that he had with Echo, where he tells her, oh, he was killed by Hawkeye. I mean, by Black Widow.
Black Widow.
And that's really, he's telling a version of the truth right there, because that's what he believes in his head. But to me, it was also like, God damn, white man, boy, y'all are so like,
take accountability, sir.
Like, you can't just change your clothes and you're not that guy anymore.
Tell that to Clark Kent. Like, not that guy.
Yeah, no, but see, that's the thing. Clark Kent's always trying to be good. Clark or Superman. This man was like out murdering people, and he's like, oh, whew, I'm not that guy anymore.
So we're talking about the ongoing issue with him not taking accountability.
Yes. And I feel like this show keeps trying to make him take accountability, but so far, he hasn't. And I think that's the big lesson or art that he is on, is taking accountability for some of the things he's done. Now, back to this bomb arrow, y'all. Like, Hawkeye may have not killed anyone during that first scene. Kate shoots this bomb arrow into the
van.
What's the name of the van? What's it say on the side of it? Something Bros.
Well, that's the truck. That's a moving truck.
No, there's two. I've watched it again. There's two. There's a moving truck. She blows up the van. Yes. Both of them have the logo on the side of the Bros moving
company. Trust the Bro?
Trust the Bro. Yeah, Trust the Bro. There's people in this van. I'm not sure how many.
Saying by proxy, Hawkeye killed somebody?
I'm saying Kate killed somebody, and that's the real issue here. Okay. Like, the van flips, bursts into flame, as seen in the shot. No one can get out of that. The whole van is in, inferno. So
it is an inferno. What if the next scene they say, "Oh yeah, everyone made it out"? Would you still feel the way?
I feel like that's hilariously corny, but I do.
Well, just like how when they were chasing Clint and he conveniently ran into the room where his bow and arrow was. I mean, that was convenient.
It worked out. I'm
just saying that was super fucking convenient.
It was. And also Kate grabbing her bow from, why was her bow in the car? Why would they put her bow? Why did Echo take the bow with her? Echo is not an archer like that unless she was driving. Anyway. A lot of questions, it was a good scene, but there's always questions when you look at it too long.
There are always questions.
But Kate murdered some people. Like, that's like not something that the teenage shorty
she's not fresh teenage, she's 22.
Okay, 22, fresh out of college, is over here just blowing up a van full of people and doesn't really have a reaction to it after that.
I don't even know if she fully finished college because remember, I thought she got, well, her mom kind of smoothed it over, but it looked like she was going to get kicked out because of the whole bell tire incident. But here's my thing, Ben. I heard, but I don't hear you because they knew what it was when they signed up. It's
not about them not knowing what it was. It's about her.
Sure.
Kate and how she reacts to being a killer.
Well, first of all, she had no idea it was the bomb arrow.
I know, but still, she
was surprised as fuck, and she was like, "Oh my god!" She said, "Holy shit!" And they cut away from her saying shit. She did react. What was she supposed to do? Start crying? They're being chased.
No, not right then. Later on,
they're being chased to be killed. They're being shot at. How else is she supposed to react?
No, I mean, I get it, and like I say in the comments, Kate is cold-blooded. She does what has to be done. So I'm not really, like...
Right. And also, like I said, the tracksuit mafia, these people signed up for this. They knew being killed is a side effect, a potential side effect of being part of the gang.
The tracksuit mafia.
Yeah, so...
I get it. But goddamn, Kate and Hawkeye, everybody involved in, like, y'all just blew up a van.
Damage.
I mean, it was like a van. Like...
Hey. Bomb arrow, the grappling hook arrow, the grappling ropes arrow.
Other arrows.
I don't know what else to call it, but grappling ropes. It shot out a bunch of ropes and grabbed a whole bunch of Christmas trees towards it. But anyway, the USB arrow. There's a gas arrow of some sort that I don't know if it's poison, and it made them niggas cough.
I love how everything was purple colored.
Purple
for Hawkeye.
Yes. And then my absolute favorite, where I was like, I perked up like, I did that whole Leonardo DiCaprio meme where I just snapped and said, I know that. The PM arrow. And that's the final arrow that stops the tracksuit mafia from advancing. And I love little nods like that. We're not going to see Hawkeye in it. I mean, not Hawkeye, Ant-Man in it. But you did get to see him technically in the musical. And it was tongue-in-cheek. And it was like, yo, that nigga wasn't even there during the battle. And here he is again in a way, inserting himself into something where he has nothing to do with it. But that Pym arrow did the job. And I thought that was so fucking cool. That team up, having Kate shoot the arrow just for Hawkeye to hit it with the Pym arrow and it becomes this giant fucking arrow that stops them from advancing.
Yeah, and it also was a cool little callback or nod to their relationships in the MCU and in the comics to that, the famous shot of him, I'm ready, arrow guy, when he shoots him on the arrow, which came from the comics. There's a famous comic book cover of Hawkeye pulled back with Ant-Man.
And Ant-Man's on it, right? Like he's getting ready. Yeah.
So that's all, I love that little, shout out to them. Someone pointed out on the internet, I'm not sure which of the colors are, but they are actually, as always, Marvel loves to have all these details. The Pym
arrow's blue.
Okay, well, when things make it, when things grow, it's blue, and when it's red, it shrinks.
Correct.
Yep.
Oh, good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yep. Because if you remember, y'all, in Endgame, the red thing, they always had the little red canisters when they were shrinking.
You're right.
Yep. Oh, okay. Now we have one left. Yeah.
And it was the Pym arrow. All right, so let's go into the characters. We talked a lot about Maya Lopez, also known as to be known as Echo, played by Alaqua Cox. BenHaMeen, you made that point earlier that they're using her real life. They incorporated her real life disability into this character.
Yep,
which is really cool how they did that. When she goes to the karate school in Brooklyn Karate Academy, and her dad says, be good, good luck on your match. Your uncle's probably gonna pick you up. And then you hear these heavy footsteps, okay? And this was all on purpose. You hear these heavy footsteps, and you don't see the person's face, but you see what appears to be a man wearing a suit. He's bigger. You can tell by the size of his hand and just the sound of his heavy footsteps. And he pinches her little cheeks, and she smiles sweetly, and all he does is laugh. Immediately from the voice and the hulking assumed demeanor, I'm like, that's fucking Wilson Fisk. That is fucking Kingpin.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, there's also another little hint that it might be Kingpin is that the man's hand has a cufflink on his suit, and Kingpin was obsessed with cufflinks in the MCU Netflix series.
Yes, and again, just from the laughter alone, I'm like, that's Wilson D'Onofrio. That's Vincent D'Onofrio. From Kingpin, from the Punisher series, from all these series, but the Netflix series as Kingpin. I would, first of all, Vincent is a phenomenal actor, period. Okay.
Yeah.
And I love his Kingpin, and I really want to see them reincorporated into the main MCU timelines. As I had said in last week's episode, I feel like the Netflix characters are like the leftovers, and I want them to be, even though they have always been known to be canon, I still just want them like really properly reintroduced. So this would be awesome. And with the introduction, or at this point, the implied reintroduction of Kingpin, that means Daredevil is not far behind potentially, right?
And that's already, all but set that it seems that Charlie Cox will be appearing in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But it seems to be leaning that way. The other two, there's still, the whole Kang theory, which we talked about last week, which I'm leaning away from heavy. And the other theory is that somehow that is Kate's dad, which I'm like, doubtful. So
that Kingpin is Kate's dad?
No, that person who came through, the uncle, is Kate's dad, and not the Kingpin. Yeah, I don't feel it either.
Kate's dad
was
Derek,
not that big.
Not that big, number one, and also he gives me Birkenstocks and turtlenecks vibes. He don't give me tailored suit and cufflinks kind of guy. Like, and again, we only saw Derek for like 0.2 seconds, but I didn't get that vibe whatsoever. I just think when you combine all of the context clues within those few seconds, it speaks to Kingpin to me.
Yeah, and the thing is that there's a lot of speculation what's going on with the parents, but I believe my running theory right now is that the mom either murdered the dad, probably did not save the dad during the attack on New York, then use the insurance money because they were broke or going broke to form this security company and do whatever other nefarious things that she's been up to. My money is that the mom is the real villain and the dad is quite dead.
Yeah. One last point for me on why I think this is Kingpin also is because when they do the back in the day shots of young Maya, or actually when she's the teen Maya or younger Maya, when she discovers her dad gets killed by Ronan and all that stuff, the name of the garage is Fat Man Garage.
Yeah.
Fat Man is another nickname literally for Kingpin. So
here's one more. When they discover that Cassie is an employee of Sloan Limited, and Clint says that sounds familiar, it's because in the comics the character Sloan is a character who works for the Kingpin. And Clint already said that there's somebody above Maya. He's like, there's somebody you don't want to mess with. In the early episode when he's talking to his wife, he's like, I don't know how far up this goes. So it's probably that Clint knows of the Kingpin already in this universe.
Yeah.
And I feel like Marvel is past that point of doing the big fake outs. Like we thought, I didn't think that Kang was going to show up at the end of Loki. I thought they were going to give us another fake out, and they didn't. So I don't think
they're past fake outs. I think Marvel's petty. So
yeah, I don't think they're past fake outs. Don't get me wrong, but this one feels like a more straight up story. It doesn't feel like they're trying to even fake us out. It's like, y'all know what's coming.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you know what it is.
And No Way Home is coming out very soon. So that, either Charlie Cox gonna be in it or not, but this don't come out and this is gonna end. So it's all, their planning is what they're doing. So yeah.
And continuing on with the characterization of Maya Lopez, she since a young age, became adept at reading people and mimicking their movements and mimicking their abilities and how they work. As you saw, as evidenced by her match, she's able to take down the kid that's a yellow belt, even though she's just a white belt. And I was dying laughing at that little black kid. The way he looked at her like, yo, it ain't gonna be a good thing. He's like, it's all bad for you. Like, he was so sure he had her. And then when she put him on his ass, he was shocked as hell. So the little child actors are so cute. But
yes,
I just thought that was the funniest scene.
Especially young Maya. She's adorable.
Yeah. She has, as we know, she has more humble upbringing than Kate, but lots of similarities. I made the note much earlier about how that parallel of the conversation between their fathers, like, it's clear, like, regardless of how I feel about the dialogue, it's still clear that Kate's father, truly loved her. and I say loved in the past tense. Perhaps he's still alive. I don't know, but he truly loved her.
It's quiet for him.
Maybe not. But he truly loved her and was patient with her and guiding her. So they had similar relationships with their father. They both lost their father tragically. The only difference is Maya actually saw it happen in front of her. And I think just age-wise, they probably maybe about 5 years apart. And the reason why I discern that is because, like, if Kate's 22, that means Maya's like 27 or so. They appear to both be the same age in their respective timelines. So when we see Kate in the penthouse in the beginning of the show, that's in 2012, and she may be 10 years old or something like that, right? Young Maya looks around the same age back in 2007.
Yeah.
So, which to me also means young Maya was a teenager or going towards a little past that point when the Battle of New York happened. So that's why I just discern that age gap.
And let's see. So 2012 was the Battle of New York. Imagine Dragons was out, right? So there was real live dragons and Imagine Dragons. Like, Kate, young Maya got to see everything she asked for, boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of everything Maya had to go through, and especially the struggles that she had with trying to fit in and things like that, she might have had a lonely childhood. And I say that because she said one of her favorite games was solitaire.
Yeah.
What child says their favorite game is solitaire? Like when you really think about it, it's just like, maybe it is, but I don't know. Like, I don't know too many young kids where that's their game. So I just think maybe, that could be indicative of loneliness. Because solitaire, literally, the name itself, it's a game you play alone. But she also likes I Spy, which is cute. And we see that she's always been into the fighting, martial arts. She also wrote in her writing book, she wanted to learn capoeira.
She learned that shit.
She learned that shit. When the camera is panning back away from the shadow puppet play, you see that on the wall, there is a U.S. Fighting or MMA Achievement Award on her wall. And as I mentioned, she used body language and cues to learn what her opponent's going to do next. And that's how she's able to best opponents that are larger and stronger than her. And as you saw, she kicks Hawkeye's ass.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far they're going to go because, like we said, it's probably a little bit more realistic. But in the comics, she is definitely of the Taskmaster level where she can just see something and instantly imitate it. I don't think we're going to get to that level with her, but I do think we're going to see her, like, shooting bows and arrows and other things like that before this is done.
Okay, that would be wow. I did not know that it was like that level.
Oh yeah, and not only that, like she's deaf, but she can watch somebody play piano and then play piano like a master.
It's just about watching and being able to see. Yep.
Yeah. So, another thing that when the dad smears the blood on her face, that's also from the comics. That's how that happened in the comics. And then when she becomes Echo, she has a white handprint on her face as part of her costume.
Goddamn. Marvel is so dark.
Yeah, that's so dark to me. Like, even from the comics, that's like super dark. Like, who would do that? Like, I'm gonna walk around with this image to remind myself of my dead father. Like, Batman, you think you got it rough?
Martha!
Yeah, that's like, I'm dark. Echo.
Why you to do the gravel voice?
Because that's how that feels. Like, that's some next level dark.
Let's talk about Maya's dad, William Lopez, played by, as we said, the incredible Zahn Tokiaku McLarnon. We mentioned already, he's big on Reservation Dogs, the character big. He's Maya's dad. At one point, he led the Tracksuit Mafia and also runs that front business of Fat Man Auto Repair. Anything else about him that you know from the comics, or was he even mentioned, or is this just new for the MCU?
Oh, it's that same thing in the comics. He worked for the Kingpin and got murked.
Okay. Well, there it is.
Yeah, he was a killer in the comics. He's like an assassin, and then he worked for the Kingpin, gets murked, and then the Kingpin, I think actually the Kingpin might have murked him or had him murked. I'm not sure exactly how it went down, but then the Kingpin then sends Maya off to the best schools and everything, and sees her talent like he did in this episode and trains her to be an assassin and fighter. And then eventually sends her after Daredevil because Kingpin loves sending women at Daredevil, which I found out because I grew up reading Typhoid Mary when Kingpin sent Typhoid Mary after Daredevil. I found out that they later on make a joke about this, like that Daredevil is the ultimate simp, like that Kingpin can just stay sending different women at this dude. He falls in love with them, and then these women try and kill him. Like, it's the same story. Like, Echo and Typhoid Mary have pretty much the same story. And that, when I found that out, I was like, wait, what? And I talked to somebody who's read all of the Daredevil, and they were like, yeah, they made jokes about this at one point. Like,
wow.
Yeah, because you have to. Because it's like, what? Not only is Kingpin trifling, like, this nigga's like, man, this nigga just fall for anything. I just keep sending broads at this man. He gonna keep, like.
Right.
But it's like the same plan, dog. Come on.
He's a simp.
Yeah, but the Kingpin got the same plan. Like, that's what I mean. Or is it just Kingpin realizes he a simp and it's like, fuck it. If it worked the first time.
The latter.
Okay.
If it works, probably won't work again. Let's talk about the next character, Kazimirzak.
Oh,
I think that's how you pronounce his name. I think you called him Cozy earlier, which is fine.
Kazi. Yeah, no, it's Kazi. Yep.
Kazi. All right. He's played by the actor named Fra Free.
Yep.
He is a childhood friend of Maya's, and I realized that because when you look in the cast credits, they show little. Yeah. It says little Kazi, and I'm like, oh, he was in the karate school, so they've been friends.
Yep.
He looks like Robb Stark from Game of Thrones. Because when he walked in, I said, well, there go Robb Stark. He works for Sloan Limited, as you mentioned. That's in the comics. That Sloan is an employee of Wilson Fitz. You also wrote here, Ben. Please explain that. You say he's a clown.
No,
why is he a clown? No, in the comics, anyway. Why is he a clown?
No, I knew I'd have to explain this from my notes. He is the clown. The clown is a character in, once again, Matt Fraction and David Asia's run, who is an assassin and one of the scariest people in comics. Like, he is horrifying. He is this dude who walks around with a clown face, makeup on, and doesn't really say much at all, and just goes around killing a lot of people. And it's also, this is so gross, takes Hawkeye's arrows and pokes his eardrums out.
Oh, he's the one that did
He's the one who does it.
Could you explain that story last episode?
I think I had a mental block, because now, like, when I found out that he was a clown, I remembered all of the stuff he did. And I think it was just that mental block of being so sickened by it that I kind of erased the clown, because I'd forgotten the clown was in that storyline. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. It was dark. So I think, I remember the pizza dogs and all that stuff. And I don't want to think
about the happy shit.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that clown shit. So yeah, I don't know if they're gonna go and turn him into the clown or what. I don't want to, because I'm good on that.
Well, in his characterization in the show right now, it's like he's the reasonable one. Like, he even tells Maya, hey, yo, all that flim flam that we was doing back there, that shit was out of pocket. Like, he tells her, hey, yo, that was too much. And she's like, well, who's in charge, nigga? And then he lays down after that. But I
ain't nothing, friendly, like,
okay, but in the comics, you're like, hell nah.
Yeah, he's not reasonable at all. Ain't no reasonable with that man at all in the comics.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Haley Steinfeld still doing an amazing job as Kate Bishop. Like I said, I friend-wise, right now, I still would rather have Maya as a friend. I think Kate's cool, but I don't know if I would like rock with her right now as a friend. But she's still good. But Haley still amazing. I have to say, once again, Kate Bishop proves she is a powerful white, because she can bring a whole golden retriever into a diner in New York City and not get yelled at. Where you can do that at is beyond me. But I'm not making the rules here.
She's also with Clint Barton. World famous Hawkeye.
Right. Maybe they said, oh, it's Hawkeye. Let them do what they want to do. You're right.
Yeah, he saved the damn city. I'll bring my dog wherever I want, nigga.
Facts. Facts.
Don't make me go on a murder rampage up in here. Y'all know, or y'all don't know, but I get down like that.
Oh, God. Oh, boy. All right. Speaking of Mr. MAGA Worldwide himself, a.k.a. Ronan, a.k.a. Hawkeye, a.k.a. Clint Barton,
Mr. MAGA Worldwide,
played by Jeremy Renner. This nigga's gonna have to tell the truth about Ronan very, 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 very soon, because I know them lies are eating him the fuck up. And how many lies does it take to get to the truth? Because it's just like, it's gonna break at some point, and it's not going to make sense. That's the problem with telling lies. You got to tell more to cover up that lie, and so on and so forth.
Yep. I really like this note you have right here. Can you explain that? Because
yes, of course.
Yeah.
He destroyed mad lives as Ronan, and I think that we have to come back to that, because again, This goes into a lot of different conversations you and I constantly have on this show and otherwise about the difference, like when people say, "Oh, he's a good guy or a bad guy," or the concept of good and bad guys. That's
relative.
relative, and it's also so many gray areas. And also the conversation you always have about protagonists and antagonists and who these people really are. Ronan, sure, he went around the world killing criminals. He went around the world killing people who also have lives, who also have families, and also have some sympathetic leanings. Sure, you can take a character like William Lopez, who we don't know the heinous things he may or may not have done. All we know from the opening is that he has this beautiful daughter that he treats with so much love and respect and all this other stuff, and we're drawn to this really warm and fuzzy feeling. But because he's part of the Tracksuit Mafia, yes, he signed up for it, but because he's part of it, he gets got. And then we're looking at Roland like, well, nigga, that man was just talking to his daughter about dragons and you just killed him. And now you have a lifelong mortal enemy out of little Maya because she's going to grow up. And you see to this day, she is hunting down Ronan.
Yeah. I mean, remember, it ain't been that long for her. You know, it was like a few years back. Yeah, so, you know, but yeah, I mean, it's a lifelong enemy. It don't matter how old she gets. She going to live for that man. And yeah, this goes back to what we say a lot on the show that, you know, a lot of these heroes are monsters. And like Hawkeye especially, and I love Hawkeye, but I just hate how he was written in Endgame. I just don't get why they went that route for that. I get why they did, but it was like, damn, just a few lines of dialogue. Like, you hunted down those KKK members. You know, good thing you took out the Proud Boys, Hawkeye. You know, like,
good job.
You know, that's all it would have taken for me. But, you know, they went Yakuza, which was the worst for me because it was like, not only is this dude, you know, imitating Japanese people, not only did Hawkeye's character get a samurai tattoo with a skull in it. That's what he has.
He calls himself Ronin.
He calls himself Ronin.
He calls himself Ronin. That is Japanese. Like,
straight up appropriation. A Ronin is a samurai whose master was killed and he wanders the countryside looking for a new master or just getting into shit. You know, which is basically what happened. You know, his master, his wife was killed.
He's doing hood rat things with his friends.
Yeah, so he went around the world doing hood rat things with his friends. And that was just so hilarious to be like, not only is he appropriating their culture, they had to have the one scene of him murdering them as well. Yeah. You know, just could have been thought through a little bit more. Yeah, just, you know, the writing on Endgame and everything's great, but
that reminds me of in Kill Bill, Oren Ishii saying, you like silly white girls like to play with samurai swords. Like.
But they had him murdering one of the nicest dudes out there with a sword too, and one of the best actors, everything, you know, and he just gets murdered by Hawkeye. Yeah. And Black Widow watched him do it. Yeah. Never forget that. She was standing right there.
Yeah.
She was like, I'll let him finish.
Right. We don't see Eleanor because she is away towards the end when they go sneak back into Kate's mom's penthouse. Mm-hmm. She's not there, but there is someone else that's sneaking in or already there or whatever. Jack Duquesne, your boy Tony Dalton. He doesn't say too much. You don't see him too much, but you know he does hem up Hawkeye with with Ronin's sword, saying, you know, basically, what the fuck you doing here, my guy?
Man, y'all don't know Tony. Like y'all, yeah. Y'all know if y'all watch Better Call Saul. Woo! I hope this man survives this series because I want to see him eat in the MCU for a while.
Yeah. And of course, your fave pizza dog, he gets officially named in this episode because she's trying to figure out what she should call him and comes up with the name Pizza Dog.
Wow, that man denies all the other whack names she tried to give him.
He said like the dog was actually going, no.
No, he was though. He's straight like,
He was just looking at her.
Yeah,
looking at her.
And but then when she says pizza dog, he's like, yes. Yes, bitch, yes.
If the dog really opened his mouth and said, yes, bitch, yes. Yes, bitch, yes.
Yes.
Like, no, please, no.
Yeah, like on that show. Yes, queen, yes.
Never do that again. Never again. All right.
It would have been better with bitch, though, because that's what a dog would call a woman, you know, a bitch. Like, that's, if he knew English, at least.
We're moving away. We're moving away to the Easter eggs inspirations. We mentioned it earlier, the whole Trust a Bro moving truck.
R.I.P. to them.
R.I.P. to them. It also felt, I don't know if it wasn't a comic book, but it just felt like something that was lifted from a panel in a comic.
I'm not sure if that's in that chase scene, but I wouldn't doubt it. because
it just looked like it was straight from the book.
That's why I want David Asia and the colorist and the inker, everyone on that, as far as the artist, to get their credit, because David did like a whole visual language for Hawkeye, which was it was like I've seen people do it in different comics, but he created like this language just for that series. And so there's so many little visual cues and the way the panels were structured. Like that chase scene issue is so sick. And then there's this Pizza Dog issue, like I talked about before, where it takes place from Pizza Dog's perspective and uses nothing but icons and emojis instead of any text, because Pizza Dog's a dog.
Do you
and
think
he can't hear that shit.
An episode from Pizza Dog's
perspective? I don't know, man. We only got 3 left. Yeah.
3 left, right?
I don't think so, but even like a sequence would do it for me. Like a 5-minute sequence from Pizza Dog's perspective. Oh, God. What if we get an opening of Pizza Dog's history?
We might.
I would love it. And that's the other question. Where the hell is the damn watch? Did Pizza Dog eat the watch?
The watch was given to Maya, I thought.
When?
I don't know. I forgot about this fucking watch, but I thought the Tracksuit Bros got the watch and gave it to Maya.
As far as I know, the watch is like lost in the wind right now, because the dude's like, I found the watch. And then Pizza Dog bites him, and that's the last I know of the watch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that is the last. It doesn't really show. It's not clear Pizza Dog ate the watch and ran off. I don't know. Like, it's unclear.
I know what you said earlier last episode, but I still don't understand the significance of the watch. I know you said it could be Tony Stark's watch or somebody else's watch.
Well, more on that was expanded this episode, and it's like one of those, like maybe that's good, whatever. Clint is like, it's weird with all this Avengers tech being out there.
Right.
Good thing we've got Armor Wars coming up on Disney Plus. Subscribe now.
Oh man.
That line really, I was like, wow.
Well, when you put
y'all know when Young Avengers could hunt this down as well.
This should be a really good place for Namor to show up in Black Panther. Like, it's like, all right, we get it, sir. So that's what that's about. Is like, I feel like that's just some Iron Man tech. But that also goes back to the whole thing where it could be related to Kang, blah, blah, blah. I don't think so, but I'm not putting it past Marvel at this point. Facts.
But where the fucking watch is at is my question. And if anyone knows, please let me know. Because I'm so clueless. Because at first, it was so weird how that scene was shot. I was like, what happened to the watch right then?
The watch is on your shirt, BenHaMeen.
Facts. Oh, and I guess we're to that point,
tpublic.com/store/4allnerds. You see how I did that? Subscribe now.
Disney Plus.
Your first 3 months free to Disney Plus. Okay, let's continue and finish up these Easter eggs and inspirations. The Tracksuit Mafia hideout is a K&B Toys. That's an old school toy store, like along the lines, like I think it even predates Toys R Us, maybe.
Yeah,
or right around the same time.
I didn't know about that. In the South, we might have had KB.
New York had KB.
Yeah,
Toys,
I don't really know. I knew Toys R Us. I didn't know KB until I came up here.
Shit's mad old, okay?
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that it was like this mad old KB toy warehouse. I also think it's also another allusion to Christmas type stories, because like there's always Christmas stories that take place in toy stores. Like,
yep.
Isn't that Tom Hanks thing when he's dancing on a giant keyboard? Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that during the Christmas time?
Yes.
Okay, well there you go. So. Yep. And also, the last Easter egg inspirations that I want to mention was when Kate draws Hawkeye her version of what his new costume should look like, because apparently he needs marketing advice. But when she draws draws it, and I knew it was coming, it's the classic old school version with the Hawkeye wing mask and the H on the forehead.
And I've always seen people I remember when Luke Cage did it, when Luke ran by the fishing line and he saw his version of his old school costume, and he was like, ugh. And now when Hawkeye is doing it, I know there are some fans who are like, Marvel is so disrespectful to the comics that they don't even want to give us these. And I'm like, dog, my man had wings on his head and an H. Like,
can y'all stop?
Yeah, can y'all stop? And Luke Cage had a tiara. Like,
All right. We got to do the Michael Jordan meme. Stop. Get some help.
Yeah, that one always bugs me out. It's like, it's like, what else can they do when y'all talk about how like they don't respect the comics or whatever? It's like, my guy, they just made 10 years of, giving the potential for people to get into comics in the first place.
Y'all are chilling your feelings, yo. It's just a reference. It's just a reference. It's a tongue-in-cheek reference. It's a joke. Ha ha he. This shit is ugly. I don't like it. Okay, moving on. Like, who cares? Y'all?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Another one from that conversation that really blew me away was like, Hawkeye's like, I've been doing this 20 years, fam. Like,
he did say that. Yeah, when he said I've been doing 20, I said that nigga. And he meant just his whole being a spy and all that other shit.
Yeah, all that shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he was already trained and doing things before the first time we see him in Thor. First time we saw Hawkeye was in Thor.
Hawkeye old, man.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Avengers are like, in what? How long have they been at Battle of New York is 2012, right?
2012, and it's now 2024.
That's 12 years right there, like.
Damn.
Yeah. And so maybe a couple before that. So yeah, I think Thor might be 2011, 2010 in this timeline, somewhere around then.
So Young Avengers has to come up, right?
Yeah, these niggas grown.
They got Young Avengers. Y'all gotta take their place. It's about to be geriatric Avengers in a minute.
Great. Damn. Seasoned Avengers. Gray and sexy Avengers. Silver Foxes.
Ben, did you have any more Easter eggs or anything at all that you wanted to mention about episode 3 of Hawkeye?
Nah, I think we covered pretty much everything. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait for episode 4. Hoping for some more Pizza Dog. Hoping for Kingpin, but I doubt we see him until up until 5 or 6 probably. So
I'm hoping for some more. I think they directed episode. We're episode 3 now. I think they also directed episode 4, but I'm looking up for more Bert and Birdie direction.
Yeah, definitely that. Yeah, because that car chase and then even the quiet moments, like we didn't really talk about it, but that scene. Echo, it was like, you got to learn to do better. But that scene where Clint is using Kate as an interpreter for his son.
Yeah.
So he can talk to his son.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
Yeah, man. That was
was heartbreaking. I will
admit.
That was kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Are you going to be home for Christmas?
Like, come on, man.
So one time I felt sympathetic for Hawkeye.
And little Nate is named after Natasha. So that's also, yeah.
So it's like almost Natasha saying, you gonna be home for Christmas?
Yeah, you gonna make this promise to me, like.
Why would you do that to yourself? So like every time you see or talk to your son, you got to think about Natasha too. I know that's the point. Like,
but yeah, he didn't know she was gonna be dead when. Remember that Nate was born before that. So that was like, wasn't she pregnant? Like in that scene when they go. I don't remember either, but I know that. I think it's referenced in that scene in Age of Ultron that this son is named after him. After her.
Damn.
Yeah. Yep. And then like his daughter said, you lost your best friend. Like that is, which is weird because I'm like, damn, ain't your wife your best friend? And your daughter.
No, that's not weird.
Your daughter knows that?
No, your spouse is not always your best friend, and that's okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, you said, isn't that weird?
And your daughter knows? Like everybody knows?
Well. No, everybody knows, and everybody was okay.
But I'm not saying that. I know that Clint and Natasha are just friends. Like the best of friends.
And hurt him enough where
little Nate's so cute too.
Yeah.
He's
all right.
He was over there staring at the wall when he was. They're like, "Where's Nate?" Nate's over here like at the wall.
Leave the children alone. Well, that's everything, BenHaMeen. We have finished our review of episode 3 of Hawkeye, titled Echoes, and also Echoes that they said Echoes with the plural. I'm about to say plurality, but the plural version of the word. So that's probably itself a theme, right?
Mm-hmm, because it's echoes of everything that's been happening. Yep, there it is.
The ghost of Christmas past and all this other shit. Thank y'all so much for listening to Views from the 616. We appreciate love and really we're always so happy that you're here supporting us. You're in the chat right now, twitch.tv/forallnerds. We see you. We're in there talking to you. We love you. We appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe, twitch.tv/forallnerds. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform to get the audio. We're on every podcast platform known to man. For All Nerds, you subscribe there in order to listen to Views from the 616. Also follow us on our socials at Views from 616. Is it Views from 616? Views from the 616?
No, Views from 616.
Views from 616. That's right, because someone's took the other one. But Views from 616 and at For All Nerds. You can follow me personally at Tatiana King. He's at DJ BenHaMeen. We are both wearing some amazing merch. Merch is one of the many ways you can support the For All Nerds team, our show, and everything we do. I have here this Sketch Sawyer Mohawk Storm on a motorbike. BenHaMeen has the beautiful Miss Minutes Do You Want to Fuck Around and Find Out shirt, as well as the For All Nerds logo mug. You can get these and many other incredible designs on many products of your choice. Hit up tpublic.com/stores with an S/forallnerds in order to get yours. Shout out to everybody who also supports us on our Patreon. Yet another way you can hit us up if you want to get you can get us, basically it's a subscription, right? It's a subscription to help us excel. Everybody that is part of the Financial Fan Fam, we salute you. Patreon.com/forallnerds. You get, no matter what level you're on, you are going to get surprises and special treatments and all this other stuff. Shout out to everyone who got their free shirts and all their, I think the last thing we gave away was like a bunch of 007 gear. Just a bunch of random free stuff we were giving away. And we always do giveaways all the time. So make sure y'all are checking your emails. What else? I feel like I'm missing a few things. Tell me, Ben.
You already did the Twitch. You did Patreon. Yeah. You did our TeePublic store.
Yeah. I mean, we appreciate y'all. It's just incredible. Like, it's important that y'all listen. It's important that y'all share the show. It's important that we hear back from you. Give us feedback, whether you agree or disagree. Let's talk to us. Talk to us civilly, or you will get the smoke. I'm just letting you know. Once again, make sure you are also watching us. Watch us on our YouTube page. If you miss any episodes or you want to see some stuff that you haven't seen before, go to youtube.com/forallnerdstv. That way you can watch all of our reviews of all the MCU shows, interviews that we've done, any special projects that we're involved in. It's all there. I mean, there's a million ways to get in touch with us. There's a million ways to watch and enjoy us. And again, we're just so happy we have a true fan fam that is out there for us. And y'all, for real, y'all live in full effect. We love it.